So if you can believe it, we are pretty much 1 year out from World Cup 2019. It's kind of sneaking up on us, perhaps a bit quicker than I thought. I mean, we're still in Rugby Championship times, so the thoughts kind of haven't really kind of kicked in that it is just around the corner. But if you look at the number of games left for each of the teams before it is World Cup time, it's not that far. So I've had a look at what the odds are, according to the bookies, for the favourites to win the whole tournament. So I'm not talking about any kind of who's going to make the what stage, just who's going to be the out-and-out winner. It's pretty much, I guess, the main thing we care about. So I had a look at the odds, and I've followed a formula online for converting these odds into a percentage, because I know not everyone's kind of that au fait with betting odds, and there's different forms of betting odds. So I've converted them into a percentage. Please note a few things. The odds aren't my odds, they're the bookies' odds, and it's not my formula. So these percentages, because there's so many teams in the tournament, it doesn't add up to 100%. It's just kind of looking at the odds of the bet and what does that kind of work out as a percentage. So we'll have a look. Some of them are pretty interesting. We'll work our way up from the bottom and kind of get to the favourites. So teams with kind of a less than 0.01% chance. So way at the bottom. You're looking at Russia, USA, Uruguay, and Georgia. Not even 0.1% chance the bookies are giving them. And for good reason. They're going to go. Hopefully they have a bit of fun. And yeah, they could get some points put on them. Although it's interesting to see Georgia is in the same bucket, I suppose. We always think of them as kind of pushing some of the teams. Namely, Italy is the main one that they get referenced to. But yeah, these guys, less than 0.1%. Next lot, we've got Tonga, Samoa, and Italy. These guys are given slightly better odds at 0.019, so almost 0.2% chance. Not even a percent, a fifth of a percent chance of winning the World Cup. Okay. Getting into still very low territory here. We've got Fiji and Japan. The bookies give them 0.3 chance of a percent. So these are all, I mean, I hate to say the dregs, because it's not really, but none of us can really see any of these teams getting to a World Cup trophy lifting stage. Upsets, yes. Scare some big teams, yes. Cause problems, yes. Win a World Cup, no. I think we can kind of all agree there. Now we get to the teams who, perhaps I think the rest of them, it's not inconceivable that they win a World Cup. Argentina. Maybe they should have been higher up this list. They've just beaten the Wallabies. They've beaten the Springboks at home. But they are the lowest of these kind of favoured teams, with 3.2% chance of winning the Rugby World Cup. Above them, not by much, Scotland. Scotland are given a 3.8% chance of winning the Rugby World Cup, so favoured ahead of Argentina. Then you look at France. Got their jersey on today. Feels pretty nice, but despite all those nice feelings, both them and Wales, 5.5% chance of winning the Rugby World Cup. This is despite Wales' kind of excellent form in those June internationals. 5.5%. South Africa just beat the All Blacks. 8.3% chance of winning the Rugby World Cup. I mean, I guess we're getting towards 10, but I would imagine most South African fans would like to think themselves slightly better than an 8.3% shot of getting the World Cup in their hands again. Especially when you consider the team above them is probably in worse form, and that's Australia. Australia are given an even 10% chance of winning the Rugby World Cup. Puts them in the top 4. And, I mean, they've just lost to Argentina. Their form in the Rugby Championship is not good. Perhaps the bookies' kind of betting trends go back towards previous Rugby World Cups. Maybe they're looking at historical data I don't know how they work out these numbers, whether it's based on the IRB rankings. I wouldn't have thought so, because Wales is certainly higher than Australia. But yeah, 10% chance for the Aussies. England, despite all their kind of goings on, they are the third favourite according to the bookies, with a 12.5% chance of getting a victory under Eddie Jones. Yeah, I mean, if you'd showed me these numbers 18 months ago, I probably would have thought 12% is 12.5 is a bit mean. But since then, things have not been all that plain sailing. So it is an interesting one that England are still the third favourite, even if it's only 12.5% odds. And then we get to the two big ones, although there's still a pretty marked difference between these two. Ireland, 20% chance in winning the Rugby World Cup, so 1 in 5 shot of getting their glory. I mean, Rugby World Cups have not been kind to the Irish, but you do look at that team and think they've got the players and they're at the right age, the right experience, the right form. Should be now, barring injuries, kind of touch wood, that no teams are too affected by that going into World Cup. I'm sure some teams will be missing some big names, but yeah, 20% chance. And then you get to New Zealand, who've just... I'm pretty annoyed that I didn't look up these odds before that game against the Springboks, where they've just been beaten in Wellington. But the All Blacks are given a whopping 52, you could even call it 53 if you count all the decimal places, 52% chance of winning the Rugby World Cup, so a greater than half shot of winning the World Cup. Yep. They are out and out favourites by a mile. I mean, if you look at the actual amount they're paying, it's $1.90 for the All Blacks to win, whereas the Irish are $5.50. So, yes, like I said, the formula for working this out is not my own, but it is a formula which exists, as a lot of things do on the internet. Interesting reading to see just how far ahead New Zealand are on those odds. I mean, when you compare these to like the Rugby World, the rankings, this seems to have things at a bit of a bigger gap, although the All Blacks are still number one by a fair bit on the rugby rankings as far as I'm aware. So yeah, it's interesting just to see the difference in some of those teams who, like I said, Wales behind teams like England and Australia, they can probably feel like they might have something to say about that. Argentina perhaps feeling a bit disgruntled about being that low. Yeah, I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts on those odds. Rugby World Cup is only 1 year away, so counting down the days, not quite at that point yet, but it is not that far. So yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on the odds, and which ones do you think are kind of there or thereabouts, which ones do you think are a bit far off, and yeah, I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.